You know the vibes. We're back with another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast presented by NBA 2K22. As always, if you don't have your copy, make sure you go get your copy by hitting the link in the description and help support the show, because right now Season 5 has been released on NBA 2K22. And what does that mean? Well, it means you can unleash your power and earn all new rewards for my career and my team. In NBA 2K22 Season 5, Power Within is available now. Catch me out there. I'm grinding on my player, trying to get to that 99 overall with a level 40. BJ's looking at me not knowing what I'm saying right now. He's still learning the basics of the game.
I have no idea.
But you can catch me in the city, in the pro-am, in the park, getting buckets. Speaking of getting buckets, and speaking of playing like it's a video game, I've got to take a deep breath before we discuss that 52-point career high to follow his 46-point performance 2 nights beforehand by that boy, Ja Morant. And do you know what's so great about Ja Morant is we don't even need to give him a nickname. We just say Ja. You know, the great players, you only need one. LeBron, Kobe, Giannis, Jordan, Kareem, Shaq, Hakeem. You only need one name. You know what I'm saying? Ja. Now, we can talk about the performance. But the question I put to you, BJ, is this that time of the week where we talk about the MVP race? And you rang me at 4 a.m. last night. BJ rang me at 4 a.m. last night and he said, Mo, let's record the show. It's time to put Ja Morant in the MVP conversation. Now, I need to ask you, is he just in the conversation or has he broken in to the top 3?
Mo, this MVP race is as close as I've seen in a long time.
Yep. It changes every day.
It changes. You know, you have Joel Embiid, you have Jokic, you have Giannis. You have to have DeMar DeRozan in there. Ja Morant name is in there. Early in the season, Steph Curry's name was in there.
Mm-hmm.
With a couple of, 30, 40, 50-point games outside of the All-Star game from Mr. Curry. His name is in there. Now, this is a fabulous, interesting race because, Mo, there is no clear-cut favorite. It's neck and neck, but let me tell you something. As I was watching the game last night, the San Antonio Spurs versus the Memphis Grizzlies, and all of my friends down there, I was texting my friends. I said, what is the ambiance in the grindhouse? And my friend replied back to me, the grindhouse no longer exists. This is Ja's house. Jeez. And my phone just blew up. He said, this is no longer the grindhouse. So, Mo, it's a new era. That young man last night, I'm watching the game, Mo, he jumped off my television.
Mm-hmm.
The young man made phenomenal. It was like, that was better than the All-Star game.
Yep. I said, what did I say last night? I said, it's like I'm watching a highlight reel, but it's not a highlight reel. It's just a normal game.
It's
regular season, Monday night against San Antonio Spurs. Wow.
It's incredible to watch. And you know what, Mo? All of the praise he deserves, but give that Memphis Grizzly team credit. And I want to say this, Mo, right now, because, playing on teams, it's a very difficult thing because you have egos and all those things. But the one thing that was impressive about that scoring, that individual effort by Ja Morant, was how happy his teammates were for him.
The whole squad.
That meant a lot to me. And it says a lot about him. Because you know what, Mo? People won't say anything because you have talent. But when you are a good teammate, Mo, that to me is the most important thing. And watching how happy his teammates were for him and after the game and during the game, it was clear they were trying to get him 50 points, right? They were all in on.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to watch. and he was so humble, and it was incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed my Monday evening for me of watching him play and perform.
So that remains the question, BJ. Who is your top 3 in the MVP race right now?
Joel.
I need them in order. I need them in order as well.
Joel
at 3 or at 1?
At 1.
Okay.
Giannis at 2 and Jokic at 3.
I'm going to give you a hot take.
Okay.
Now, we're talking about MVP, the most valuable player. Now, there's a lot of ways in which a person can interpret the word value. But for me, I'm looking at this in the context of this year, the value to the league. Because right now, I have Ja Morant at number 1 on my MVP ladder. He shot up there because why? It's a Monday night. It's 4 a.m. in England, and my phone's blowing up too. Ja Morant has got the world watching the Memphis Grizzlies, and that's no disrespect to the great players, Marc Gasol, Tony Allen, Zach Randolph, who have played for the Memphis Grizzlies before. But a small market team is now getting the attention of a Los Angeles Lakers, a Golden State Warriors, a Boston Celtics. He's got the world watching the Memphis Grizzlies. Okay? That's point number 1. Point number 2 is he's taken over social media. The only thing I've seen today on my feed, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you name it, is just Ja Morant. It's just Ja Morant. And I'm not saying he just makes highlights, but his highlights translate into winning plays, winning basketball, because he's got the Memphis Grizzlies right now at 42-20. They're 1 game behind second place in the Western Conference. Okay. The only knock anyone has on Ja Morant, the only reason why people don't have him at first is because the team went 12-2 without him when he wasn't playing. Now, my question to you is, do you watch the Grizzlies games when he does play? There's context around everything. The opponents that they were facing when he was out. And it's known that the other teammates on any team step up when their star player's injured. I don't think you can use that at this point after seeing what he's done over the last week or so as a criticism against him. Because right now, for me, he's the number 1 player in the NBA. And that's no disrespect to the other guys. But I look at it like this. Ja Morant's team has won more games than Giannis's team. And you can't say Ja Morant's team is better. He's not got another all-star on his team. Giannis does. Jokic, he's not playing with any all-stars. And to his credit, he's been keeping them there. But he's in 6th. The Grizzlies are about to be 2nd in the West. I'm not saying Jokic hasn't had a great season. He's had an MVP caliber season too. And then Joel Embiid, he's been dominant. They're 3rd in the Eastern Conference. They've won 37 games. So not only has Ja Morant won more games than Joel Embiid, he does it in a way where I don't fall asleep watching 25 free throws throughout the course of a game, because a Joel Embiid 30-point performance is very different to a Ja Morant 30-point performance in terms of excitement. Now, if we're talking about value, I don't know how you want to quantify value, but right now, Ja Morant is doing something I've not seen. I don't know the last time I've seen this. He's putting a small market on the map, the same way that Giannis did when he was winning MVP in Milwaukee. Ja Morant's doing that right now in Memphis. So right now, I'm giving it to you, BJ. I've got Ja Morant as the most valuable player in the NBA as of this second.
Well, listen, I get why there's so much excitement. I get that. I get why there's so much excitement. People love to see new. New is a very good thing. And now, especially after these last 2 efforts, all right, let's not forget, they lost against, the first game after the break versus Minnesota. But who's watching? And then he has a 46-point effort in Chicago, which he had maybe one of the most spectacular plays I've seen. And somehow he topped that when he did the 360 layup in that game. I was happened to be watching that game. And then he turns around and he has a 52-point effort in his very next game. Now, we're all taken back and taken away, because you and I just a week ago, we was talking about when he had to slip on the floor and with his hip, and he was out of the game and he comes back. You know, Mo, this guy's exciting. He's fun to watch. And it's always fun to watch the game when you go, ooh and ah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This guy, Ja Morant, is doing things where you're just watching to see what he's going to do. And the thing that makes it special is he's not doing these things just to entertain. He's doing them and winning.
Yep.
Okay. So now you're saying, wow, I got to watch this guy. If he continues to play like this on a 2-week stretch or a month stretch.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
Then Mo, I think he shoots up to number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because Mo, it will be hard to stop him because of the excitement that he's doing.
Yep.
Now, Mo, he's doing it and we're not expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Giannis is putting up an MVP year and we're just like, but you can say that.
Yeah.
You can say that about him.
Well, here's the thing. If you say Giannis is the MVP, you're not wrong. If you say Jokic is the MVP, you're not wrong. You say Embiid is the MVP, you're not wrong. You say DeMar DeRozan is the MVP, I got a problem with that. You say Steph Curry is the MVP, I got a problem.
What's the problem?
DeMar DeRozan and the Bulls in games against good teams are not the same as DeMar DeRozan and the Bulls in games against bad teams. That's my issue with them. The Bulls are 2-13 against any teams with more than a .600 winning percentage.
But here's the thing. It's about body of work. And in saying that, now you can make your argument, which we could respect your argument. But also, I want you to say, Mo, they are currently in second place.
They are. They are indeed.
Okay. And just make sure when we say one thing that we also put it in its proper context.
They are in second place.
So you can make your argument for why he shouldn't be MVP. But you also have to say, here are the facts. They are in second place.
They are in second place, but also a fact, they've not won as many games as the Memphis Grizzlies. Also a fact, they're 0-3 against the Miami Heat, who are in first place. Also a fact, they're 0-3 against the Philadelphia 76ers, who are in third place. Also a fact, they haven't beaten the Bucks, they haven't beaten the Suns, 0-2 against the Warriors, 0-2 against the Memphis Grizzlies. The only team with a positive record that they've really beaten is the Utah Jazz. That's my reason why I don't have DeMar DeRozan in the MVP conversation.
But
if you are the most valuable player, if you're the most valuable player in the league, you will lead your team to win. All I'm asking is to win one of those games.
They
just one.
Currently, they're in second place, so they are winning.
Yes.
Okay, they are winning.
Oh yeah, they're winning the games.
Valid points. But okay, those are all valid points. However, DeMar DeRozan, okay, and the Chicago Bulls are in second place.
Yeah, I'm not saying they've had a bad season. I'm not saying he hasn't had a great season. But
DeMar DeRozan is averaging 28 points a game.
Okay, but I'm saying the reason why he's not in the tier with the top 4 candidates for me is because when it comes to the games against the best teams in the league, if you are the most valuable player, you need to lead your team to wins.
Point well taken. However, he's averaging 28.2
There's nothing wrong with being fifth in the MVP race.
5.3 rebounds.
There's nothing wrong with being
5
fifth.
assists a game.
There's nothing wrong with being fifth.
He, without question, deserves to be in the conversation.
Okay, he's top 5, but he's not top 4.
However, it's a subjective thing. But you can't argue that he's not having an MVP season.
He is having a fantastic season. But do I think he's having a better season?
Better season
when it comes
to them? Okay. You can say that. Well, I'm not arguing that. I think we're saying
for the record,
same thing.
I don't want to come off as a hater. I think DeMar DeRozan is having an amazing season. But I'm saying for me right now, there's a top 4. Last time we spoke about this, there was a top 3. I think Ja Morant has cemented himself now in that top 4. And I think the next tier down is DeMar DeRozan. And then the next tier down from that is Stephen Curry. Because I don't think he's really in the MVP conversation. He started the year in the MVP conversation.
I don't want to diminish what I see what he did, Mo. The guy had like 35 points or more for like 8 straight games.
Yeah, no doubt. He had a hot stretch, but it's the MVP for a whole season.
Exactly. Mo, we're talking about Ja Morant now after 2 incredible games.
He's averaged 28 for the season. The same stat you just read to me about Ja Morant.
That's what I'm saying. That's just, Mo. But what I'm saying, you've catapulted him. You weren't saying last week, Ja Morant. You just said he shot up to the top 5.
Last week, I said he was on the outside looking into the top 3. And this week,
and he's averaging the same amount of points as DeMar DeRozan.
Yep. But this week, I saw Giannis have an embarrassing loss to the Brooklyn Nets. This week, I watched one of the most boring games I've ever seen with the Philadelphia 76ers. Okay. So that's the reason why I put him in the top 3 now.
No one's arguing what you see, but we have to look at the entire picture here and say the following. DeMar DeRozan, I don't care if whatever you individually think, DeMar DeRozan is having an MVP caliber season.
That's not a dispute.
We cannot diminish his body of work, in particular this season. He's been outstanding.
Yeah, correct.
From start to finish.
Yeah.
In the absence of whatever's going on there, he has been outstanding.
No doubt.
Now,
no doubt.
Has he been the best? Okay, you can make it. You can make your point. But you can't diminish, and I'm not diminishing.
I'm not diminishing it. I'm not
diminishing.
The
man deserves his flowers and his respect.
He does. And I think,
and I'm going to defend him.
You don't need to defend him because I don't think there's anything wrong with being 5th on the list of MVP candidates this season. I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as a compliment. You are the 5th best basketball player in the world right now. I think that is, you know what I'm saying? Out of all the basketball players on earth, you are number 5. I don't think that it needs defending because are you telling me you got him over any of the other 4? You got him over Embiid, Giannis, Jokic, or Ja Morant?
I got him over Ja Morant.
Okay, so you have him 4th on your list.
But Ja Morant has entered into the picture. He's entered into the picture. Now, there's one thing to have a good week. There's another thing to have a good month. And there's another thing. We're talking about the MVP, which we're going to say a great season. So we're sitting here discussing, and we have more games to play.
Mm-hmm.
We got more basketball to play.
And the other reason
I'm saying is if DeMar DeRozan goes on another 35 games for 10 games in a row, Mo can't sit here and tell me, well, it's not as fun to watch than Joel Embiid's 37.
As I said at the start of the show, this conversation changes every day.
Yes.
As I said at the start of the show. So the other factor of why I have Ja Morant jumping is now there's a very real possibility that the Grizzlies finish 2nd in the West. Put your hands up if you predicted the Grizzlies winning 2nd in the West.
Okay, but
no one.
There is a lot of basketball to be played.
There's 20 games.
Ja Morant deserves to be in the conversation.
Exactly.
DeMar deserves to be in the conversation.
He's in the conversation.
I want to start this off and say this. I want to be very clear what I'm saying is that this is a very close race.
Yes.
And whoever over the next, I'm going to say 15 games.
Yes.
Will probably win the MVP.
I think we're saying the same thing.
That's tough. That's what I just said. That's what I said. But don't start telling me this guy's MVP. But Mo, it's going to change.
Yeah, ask me tomorrow after these guys have played again. I might change my answer.
We could say right now, DeMar DeRozan has been the best player for the last. If he scores 30 or more points for the last 20 games, Mo will have to sit here and go, and no one else does it. He may be the MVP. That's how close this race is.
Okay, because that would involve him playing the Bucks, the Cavs, the Suns, the Bucks again. The you know what I'm saying? It would involve him having to play some really good teams. The Miami Heat, try and get a first win against Miami Heat. If he could show up and the Bulls can beat some of these teams, no question we can have him right up there. But all I'm saying right now for me is he's 5th. And I don't think that's a knock on DeMar DeRozan. I don't think that's a knock against him to say he's the 5th best player in the world this season. I think it's pretty damn good to be the 5th best player in the world. And do you see what I mean? There's no shame in not being.
I'm not saying he's the 5th best player in the world, right? What we're saying is he is 5th in your MVP.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Yes.
That's what we're saying. We're saying he's the 5th in the MVP race according to you this year. That's all we're saying.
Yes.
Now let's go on.
And he's 4th according to you.
Well, he's in the race. I don't know where the race is 1-2. It'll change tonight. It'll change at halftime.
It changes every night. So don't hold me to this.
It changes every night. It's going to change. And that's what I'm saying.
And that's the beauty.
I can't recall when this many people are deserving to be in the conversation.
For real. Because if we look at last season, it was clearly going to be Jokic the whole way through. 2 seasons before, that's Giannis just dominating the league. Like, when I'm trying to actually think, when was the closest MVP race prior to this one?
I mean, this is a great race. I mean, look, the first 25 games of the season this year, we all gave it to Steph Curry. We haven't even mentioned Steph Curry. 2 weeks ago, Mo, I sat here and I told you Chris Paul has to be like in the conversation. Like, he has to at least be in the conversation. I'm not saying he will win, but you got to put him in the conversation. Then he gets hurt. This race has included a lot of people.
Yep.
And it's great.
And KD. We ain't even mentioned KD. If KD never got injured, he's up there as well.
Mo, thank you. So KD comes back. KD finishes strong. People are going to be saying, oh, he should be. Look, this is great. It's awesome. I can't wait. And hopefully everyone will continue to watch.
I'm trying to think back to when it's been not only this close, because we've had close MVP races, but this more than 3 guys can win it. Because I think back to 2017, you've got Westbrook, you've got Harden, and arguably Kawhi Leonard. They're all in the conversation for that. Or you had the year when it's Charles Barkley, Magic Johnson, and Michael Jordan. Was that 89, 90? Those 3 guys. Yeah. Those 3 guys could have all won it. You've got the year where it's Karl Malone, Tim Duncan, Alonzo Mourning. I think that was. I'm
talking about this is like 7 or 8 guys.
Yeah. This is what I mean. It's the depth of quality and the depth of talent that it's just so open that even looking ahead, no one's made a case to say that they're going to separate themselves from the pack next year either. You know what I mean? Like, it's
there's
crazy.
been some people, Mo, at the beginning of the season. I mean, the season hadn't started yet, but some people said LeBron James.
Yeah. And I'm sure people are still going to say, if LeBron averages 30 for the rest of the season, all these guys on TV, they're going to say LeBron James the MVP.
So let's watch Mo. But I just want to be open to my guy because DeMar,
100%.
He's having a career year, and I don't want this to go unnoticed. And I just want to make sure of that. Okay, let's go.
Man,
let's move on.
We say move on. That episode, we're already halfway through the show. I think just looking at this season, then, I'm just fascinated by how close the Eastern Conference is. So what I want to talk to you about today is we're going to go through each team in the Eastern Conference and tell me which playoff opponent you would least want to face if you were that team, and which playoff opponent you would most want to face. I'll give you the example. I personally think if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, you wouldn't want to face the Cleveland Cavaliers in round 1. Why? Because through the regular season matchup so far, they have a real problem with those 2 7-footers clogging up the paint. That's just an example off the top of my head. So, BJ, I want to ask you this. If you're the Miami Heat, which team do you not want to see in that first round? Because right now it could be Brooklyn. It could be Toronto. It could be Boston if they lose a few more games. Could be Atlanta if they win the play-in.
If I'm Miami, the team I don't want to see in the first round is a healthy Brooklyn. You're the number 1 seed, and then Brooklyn is your first round opponent, and they're healthy.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to see that.
I hear it. Who would you be wanting to play if you were Miami? Because I'm assuming Charlotte's going to drop out. They're like they're on like a how many game losing streak.
Yeah, you want to play Charlotte. You want to play
the Hawks,
Atlanta. Yeah,
I think so. Okay, so if we look at the Chicago Bulls, say they stay in a 2 spot, do you think the Toronto Raptors could cause them some problems? Because for me, the one weakness of the Bulls is the interior defense, and the one strength of the Raptors is they just have so many big strong, quick guys.
I watched the telecast last night with the Chicago Bulls versus Miami because I wanted to kind of see, obviously the Bulls have had a great year, and I know this, Mo, and I got to say this, I'm a little biased towards the Bulls because look, the history there, so forth and so on. But I wanted to see because now everyone wants to win now because you're jockeying for position. So I wanted to see, especially on the road, who the Bulls or try to get an idea of what they would do. Because you're playing the last 15 to 20 games now, right? It's not like early in the season. It was clear to me what Spo was doing. Spo just attacked Vucevic every single time.
Yep. And that's without Kyle Lowry in the lineup.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He just attacked him every single time, right? He attacked the rim. He put him in all screen roll situations. Bam was incredibly active. And you could see what Spo was thinking. Okay, that's here. And the reason I'm saying that was I'm concerned about the Bulls because the Bulls could be one of those teams that with the wrong matchup, they could be out early in the playoffs, which would negate this unbelievable regular season because it's obvious to me what the issues are on that end of the court. Now, Bulls fans, and they're going to say, well, we got to get Caruso back. I think that helps. We got to get Lonzo Ball. I think that helps. However, you're going to have to get some type of rim protection, which is going to ask the question, how are they going to defend versus these good teams that they're going to see in the playoffs? So I have some concerns with the Bulls. They're having a great regular season. DeMar DeRozan been incredible. Hopefully, knock on wood, Zach LaVine is fine after the procedure that he received prior to All-Star.
And hopefully Caruso and Lonzo are back soon.
Yeah, and hopefully get there and get everybody
But who
back.
scares you? If you're the Bulls, which team is scaring you?
I don't want to play like the Celtics. I don't want to play. I definitely don't want to play teams like Atlanta. Any team that has a small lead guard who scores. Why? Because that's going to expose what I don't do well.
Yep. And the screen roll game, Clint Capella and John Collins will be eating off lob passes all day.
I don't want to play those teams. Toronto with Fred VanVleet. I'm just concerned with the Bulls. I like the Bulls. I'm not saying, I don't think they can win, but I know what they can't do. And when you can't do something and there's no counter to it. Now, they got Tristan Thompson to, play defense, so forth and so on. But you can't play Tristan Thompson extended minutes, especially in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, this is something that I'm really concerned with. Hopefully, the Bulls will figure it out or do whatever they're going to do on the defensive end. But I don't want to play the Celtics because they will play screen roll with those two guys, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I don't want to play against the guy, Trae Young. He is capable of going berserk. And I don't want to play against Toronto because they have an all-star guard this year in Fred VanVleet. And they will probably more than likely see one of those guys. And I think it's going to be tough.
I think that has the potential to go 7 games. If you're the Philadelphia 76ers, who I think are the favorites to win the Eastern Conference now, as we spoke about the other day, who do you want to avoid?
Well, I think there's only one team that
one name. One name.
One name. It's Giannis. I think that's the only team. And I don't care when they see him, where they see him. Mo, you and I have to be, I want to be in the building because that will go down to me as one of the all-time great matchups.
It'll be like a boxing match.
Yeah,
two
heavyweights. All right. And either one of them, they're not going to give an inch. They're going to play the game at the highest level, and they're going to play on both sides of the ball. And I think this is going to go 6-7 for sure. And then it's anybody's ball game. It's anyone's game. It's anyone's game. Mm-hmm. So I think the Sixers are looking at one team.
And conversely, for Milwaukee, who do you think they're most worried about? Because I think that would be the Sixers too.
I think they are concerned with the Sixers, but I also think, especially this year, I think they're concerned with teams like Cleveland.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
Okay, and I'm saying that is because Cleveland has 3 7-footers, and that puts so much pressure on Giannis because Giannis can dominate one guy, he'll dominate 2 guys, but they just have 3 guys. And then, by the way, they're coming off the bench with Kevin Love, who's arguably maybe a Hall of Famer when his career is over with.
Mm-hmm.
So Karis LeVert, they just have a lot of players that they'll just keep throwing at you,
And what I love about Cleveland is I don't think they're afraid of anyone.
Well, they're playing with house money right now.
Exactly.
Cleveland is not supposed to be here.
Exactly.
So if Cleveland wins 1 game, that's great. If Cleveland wins 2 games, you're going, okay, what's going on here?
If Cleveland win 3
games, then now
the panic starts the same. Now you got pressure on you that these kids.
They have, Garland and all of these guys, they have enough depth. They have scoring from the perimeter. They have shot blocking. They could go a 2-3 zone. They could do a lot of different things, especially defensively. And they could play against the length of Giannis because they have enough bodies. So I think, teams like that could bother them potentially, but you never know. Giannis could take his game to another level, and I'll say this. You never know how a team is going to respond being down 0-2.
Yeah.
And this will be Cleveland's first time in the playoffs. And by the way, Mo, speaking of Cleveland, you and I were talking, and I think we mentioned that we thought Cleveland was going to struggle after All-Star because how active they were.
Yep.
And they have struggled. I think this is a lesson to be learned. All-Star weekend, sometime when you host, you are exhausted.
Yep.
And that's what you're seeing. And hopefully they'll get back on track.
Yep. They lost to the Pistons and the Timberwolves. They managed to sneak a win against the Wizards. But I'm going to ask you this one question now, BJ. And I don't want to answer it because people might think I'm biased. But when we talk about the recipe for winning in the NBA playoffs, we're talking about defense, great defense. And then we're talking about on the other side of the ball, on offense, you've got guys, superstars that can take over, score the basketball when they need to down the stretch. The Boston Celtics have had one of the best defenses in the league since about December. They've got 2 proven all-star scorers on the offensive side of the ball. They've got role players now who can hit the threes. Do you think that Boston could surprise everyone and get back to the conference finals and potentially even take down one of the big contenders from the Eastern Conference?
Boston, and I'm going to give them credit. They have really played well, Mo, as of late, like the last month or so. They've really turned things around. And that's hard to do because they have 2 all-stars, and that was a concern. What's going on there? What's going on? Why they got Jaylen Brown, they got okay. But they've really turned things around, okay, which lets me know that the coaching staff were coaching these guys on sound principles. It was just a matter of them sticking to it and fitting in and coming together with their, this is his first, head coaching job, but this is, they're building relationships with one another. So I respect what they've done this year. When I look at the Celtics, this is what concerns me. If you're watching this team, you're going to proceed with caution because they could get hot. Okay. This is a team, you say, well, if it was that easy, Mo, everybody should just play defense. Well, it's not just that easy. You also got to put that ball in the basket. But let me tell you something about the Celtics. Okay. Just like watching the Grizzlies. If you watch the Grizzlies, where they are elite, they're not good. I want you to watch this, ladies and gentlemen. When you turn the ball over against the Grizzlies,
gone.
I just want you to watch how quickly they go from defense to offense. And they're just as elite from going from offense to defense. They are one of the fastest teams I've ever. When you lose the ball against the Grizzlies, I'm just trying to look, where's Ja Morant? Because there's going to be an alley-oop. There's going to be something here where they are attacking that basket. I'm going to tell you something about the Boston Celtics. They're doing the same thing. And Jason Tatum, they're running to that 3-point line. And it's really kind of interesting to watch because they are transitioning from one end of the court to the other as well as I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really beginning to like what they're doing because they've bought in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really like, Mo. So it would not surprise me, Mo, that the Celtics are one of those teams that could get hot.
Yep.
In a series.
And they're peaking at the right time of the season as well. They saved their best play.
And Mo, let me tell you something. When I see teams begin to acquire bigs, Tice, Al Horford, what you call him, the Time Lord. When I see you have enough bodies now, you can do some things, Mo.
Mm-hmm.
Mo.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little nervous with them because Mo, they can come into a series and be the 6th seed, but win the series.
Yes.
Because Mo, I'm gonna tell you why, and I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna leave it alone. Because I always look for teams with character. The Celtics have what I call basketball character. And they are a team that could be down 0-2 and know what the task is when they go back home and not be shook.
Mm-hmm.
They have a player or two that could win a game by himself. Jason Tatum is good for maybe a game or two by himself.
He put up 50 on his own without Jalen or anyone last year against the Brooklyn Nets.
Jalen Brown could win a game or two by himself.
Oh,
okay.
And if
they have enough depth to win on the bench, and I firmly believe this, that coach
Ime Udoka
is capable of stealing a game on the road by himself. That's the formula to win a series. Your star players got to win 2 games. Your role players got to win 1 game, and your coach got to win a game. They have it, Mo. Now, do they have the best player? No. But, Mo, the 3-point shot is in full effect. And they could go and win a game on the road against any team in the East.
Mm-hmm.
And Mo, they could go home and win 2 games, and that means the series is that they're up 3-1 in the series.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics could do that.
Mm-hmm.
They're capable. That's all I'm going to say, Mo.
I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'm not going to say what I'm thinking.
Don't get ahead of yourself,
I'm just going to say this. You don't want the Celtics to do well, because if the Celtics get to the finals, I'm going to be insufferable.
Oh, no, you're going to be.
I'm going to be running through the streets of Boston with my top off. I don't even care. I told you that already right now. They win a championship, I'll get a tattoo of the Celtics on my arm. But until then,
I'm okay, Mo. But I'm going to say
they could also lose in the first round, though.
They could lose in the first round.
They could also just lose in the first round.
But Mo, when I look at the matchups with Miami, for instance, who's the best team, I like the matchup of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum versus Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler. I like the matchup of Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan versus your 2 guys.
Mm-hmm.
I like the matchup of James Harden and those perimeter guys and your guy. I like the matchup. I like the center by committee. I like the depth of the team of bringing White in I like the coaching. I like what I'm seeing. Now, can this team play with the expectations of that, Mo? That we don't know. But right now, Mo, they are playing how we thought they should have been playing at the beginning of the season.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What I like is how much love our listeners give us by tuning into this show every day. So thank you for rocking with us. We're going to be back tomorrow with another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast sponsored by NBA 2K22. In the meantime, feel free to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Leave us 5 stars on Spotify, wherever you listen to. Tell your friends about the show if you enjoy it. Get them to tune in and let's grow the family that we got going on here. But also let us know on social media. Hit us with some tweets who your MVP candidates are right now. Give us your top 3s. Get involved in the discussion because we want to hear from you too. And also, don't forget to send in your questions. I'm going to put a tweet out. You're going to see it very soon. We want your questions for Friday's show. But until next time, we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Get buckets.